One very adult industry here in Nevada is hoping to emerge from the COVID-19 shutdown, and they're working on new ways to sell sex safely.
News 3's Max Darrow explains in tonight's special report, The Brothel Burden.
It's been a quiet 2 months at the end of Homestead Road in Pahrump, a place where mostly men go to find adult pleasure. Sherry's Ranch, one of Nevada's legal brothels.
When we reopen, people have to know that we've taken every precaution to keep them safe.
Madam Dena uses the phrase "when we reopen" because she's confident this intimate line of work will survive the coronavirus pandemic. However, she doesn't know when that will happen because she says the discourse surrounding reopening Nevada businesses hasn't specifically addressed brothels or what happens in these private suites, other than they won't be reopening in phase 1.
We have no idea what phase we're going to be in.
With no outlined guidance tailored specifically to brothels, Madam Dena says they've created their own blueprint for how the ladies who are independent contractors will do their business, as well as rules for the customers. For example, they once allowed 25 girls to work here at a time. Madam Dena says now they'll only allow 12. A few other adjustments will include
taking temperatures of everybody that walks in the door, making masks mandatory showers before, you have any interaction with an independent contractor.
So what is this area, Playland?
It's more themed rooms.
And as for the various rooms at the brothel,
once everything's cleaned and been sanitized, that we put a seal on the door, and it would be the customer and the girl that has to break that seal when they come in so that they know it's been done, and there's no question.
Dena isn't the only madam of a brothel who's thinking of the proactive steps she'll need to take to keep her customers and her contractors safe while on the job. Up the road in Wells, Nevada, at Bella's Hacienda, the madam of that brothel says she's confident they can open up safely once the governor gives this red light industry the green light to open up.
It may be a lot of gloves and masks that get used, but
Madam Bella says everyone will get their temperature checked upon entry and they'll have to wear masks on site until a vaccine becomes available.
We're all in on making sure everyone is trained and does it the same way every time.
She says the girls are tested weekly for sexually transmitted diseases, so she wants to add a weekly COVID-19 test to the list.
We can certainly be proactive in being responsible and having the integrity to do it right.
We brought the brothel question to UNLV Assistant Professor Brian Labus, who's an infectious disease epidemiologist with a background in outbreak surveillance.
Well, we haven't seen this disease be transmitted by sexual contacts, so that's really not the concern. It's basically sharing close contact, sharing the same airspace with other people.
So like other businesses that are now reopening with safety precautions, Labus says a person's experience at a brothel or anywhere won't be risk-free.
We can do things to reduce the risk, but it's never going to completely eliminate the risk of disease transmission.
But he does think the tax-paying brothels will reopen eventually and says it will be the burden of each individual to decide their degree of exposure. Madam Dena agrees.
This is a choice. This is a choice for a customer to come here. This is a choice for an independent contractor to work here. And I don't think we can take away those choices.
But if the customers or the girls make the choice not to follow the new rules, Madam Dena says it's one strike and you're out.
They don't need to be here.
Is that simple?
It is. It is very much that simple. It's the same thing as when HIV came around. We changed everything to prophylactics. You choose not to participate with the prophylactic, you choose to go.
But for now, any participation at a brothel remains on hold. Max Darrow, News 3.
CCSD School Board received a grim forecast about the upcoming 2020-2021 budget. Jordan Malo has his details.
Well, the school budget comes primarily from 3 areas: property tax, car registration fees, and sales tax. Now, obviously, there's been virtually no revenue from sales since March, which means even in the best case scenario, the impact will be severe.
Given the significance of the deficit at the state level, I don't think that there's going to be any area in the entire state budget that are not impacted by cuts.
That's CCSD Chief Financial Officer Jason Gowdy delivering the news many already expected. During an online board meeting Monday evening, trustees learned about the impending shortfall, approximately $38 million below budget, which amounts to about $116 per student.
I do feel like it's, and it's just a good thing to kind of give a little bit of a heads up, or at least help prepare the people who might be impacted by this.
Trustee Daniel Ford asking if we know which areas will be cut specifically. The answer? It's still too early to know. The education budget is broken down like this. 87% goes to salaries and benefits. 13% goes to textbooks, supplies, buses, and utilities. Trustee Linda Cavazos.
How long before we can give at least a ballpark estimate or some information to our principals?
Ultimately, it will fall upon individual principals to determine where cuts are made. They will most likely be contacted in the next few weeks.
It was reported nearly a week ago that the Raiders agreed to terms with cornerback Prince Amukamara. Well, today, the Silver and Black finally signed the 10-year vet. Now, hopefully, you'll see Prince inside of Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders' historic home opener versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, the ticket prices are ridiculously high. $1,500 out here for 2 tickets. But Raider Nation and Saints Who Dat Nation will pay because of the event.
Game to me is huge. I mean, we're going to be making history. It's the first game, the first regular season game for the Raiders in their new stadium against the Saints, which, I mean, I don't know. That's a huge game, and a Monday night game. So for me, that was part of the, you know, it was a little bit of a sticker shock, but at the end of the day, it was like the experience. I'm going to be there with my good buddy from New Orleans, and we're going to have a hell of a time.
Hey, I hear it's not tricking if you got it. All right, well, Michael Jordan's Last Dance, the 10-episode docuseries wrapped up last night, prompting the sports world to begin the exhausting debate of who's the GOAT, Jordan or LeBron James. Forget about that. Let's talk about just how needed the documentary was during this coronavirus self-quarantine time. Nobody happier than the docuseries director who had total autonomy making this thing.
Michael was involved, but on a distant satellite level in the making of this documentary. He never came close to the edit room. He only was seeing cuts when they were really just about to go on the air, just more out of curiosity than editorial control. I think Michael is above the fray when it comes to caring about how polished his image is and what he wants in there and what he wants out.
Well, the Aces season opener was supposed to be last week over at Mandalay Bay. Unfortunately, the WNBA season is on hold until whenever. So let's keep the glass half full. Time away has given Aces star A'ja Wilson time to do more media. Our Jesse Merritt caught up with the superstar sister and has more.
Over to A'ja Wilson. Looks like there's room in front of her. She takes it to the hole.
And she is excited about that play.
I've seen Aces fans become accustomed to seeing at the house, but one they'll have to wait a while to see again, and no doubt that's something that's hit us all at different times as sports have been delayed by the pandemic.
It hit me when it was supposed to be training camp, and I'm like, dang, we were supposed to be doing 2 a days, but here I am cooking dinner.
Something we can all relate to right about now is quarantine cooking has probably been the go-to for a lot of us, but as we wait for sports to come back, that gets old pretty quick too.
The one at the Signature, probably used it twice, not a whole year. And now I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to put another pot on this stove.
Yeah, and like the best, A'ja has been watching a lot of The Last Dance, and she too has her favorite moments from the doc.
Seeing Bill, oh my God, I got a kick out of that. Oh, I got a kick out of those segments. It was so funny watching him run, because I mean, I've never seen Bill Laimbeer run. I mean, he's the one that's telling me to run all the time. And then when I see him running on defense, I'm like, oh my God, that is hilarious.
Bill may not be the bad boy that he used to be, but if you've seen him on the bench, you know he still brings it. And as we all work our way back through this pandemic, A'ja and the rest of the Aces can't wait to get back to business.
I've never been excited to go to training camp. It's kind of weird. I was like, ooh. But like now I'm like, okay, I just want to get out on the court. I mean, because this is my job. Like, I have nothing else to do.
Till then, more cooking, home workouts, and Netflix for A'ja and the rest of us as we all look for a new binge-worthy series with The Last Dance now in the books. For News 3 Sports, I'm Jesse Merrick.
Thanks, Jesse. Binge watching The Ozarks, it's great. And NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman still has hope alive for a return and is eyeing 8 to 10 cities to be host cities for 12 teams in one city. They'll play multiple games. And the word on the street, folks, Las Vegas, Edmonton are 2 cities amongst others being thrown around. Still no date for any of these games, though. But, Jim, that has to make you a little bit happy in the fact that maybe some hockey is coming